How did one of the greatest empires of ancient human history came to an end? That's a question many of you history enthusiasts may have, and it most certainly has a complex answer to it. Rome's history, and the reasons behind its eventual downfall, represent a fascinating historical journey that spans centuries and encompasses various political, cultural, military, and socio-economic developments. Welcome to Bits of the Past. Today, we will be traveling back in time to find out about the several key phases that led to the rise and fall of this once mighty civilization. To understand how the great Roman Empire came to an end, we must first understand its history and how it rose to power. According to legend, Rome was founded by Romulus in the year 753 BCE. While the historical accuracy of this tale is debatable, it symbolizes the city's humble beginnings. Rome started as a small settlement on the banks of the Tiber River in central Italy. Rome evolved from a monarchy to a republic during this period. The last king, Tarquin the Proud, was overthrown in the year 509 BCE, leading to the establishment of the Roman Republic. The republic was characterized by a system of checks and balances, with power divided among various offices and institutions. Rome's early expansion was driven by a need for agricultural land and resources. The Roman Republic engaged in a series of wars known as the Roman Conquest, gradually extending its influence over the Italian peninsula. The Latin War, which spanned from the year 340 to 338 BCE, and the Samnite Wars, which spanned from the year 343 to 290 BCE, were crucial in establishing Rome's dominance over neighboring states. Rome's rivalry with Carthage, a powerful city-state in North Africa, defined the Punic Wars period. The Punic Wars were a series of 3 conflicts, with Rome emerging victorious. The First Punic War, spanning from the year 264 to 241 BCE, saw Rome gain control of Sicily. The Second Punic War, spanning from the year 218 to 201 BCE, featured Hannibal's famous crossing of the Alps and Rome's eventual triumph. And the Third Punic War, spanning from the year 149 to 146 BCE, resulted in the destruction of Carthage. Concurrently, Rome was involved in conflicts in the eastern Mediterranean against Macedon and various Hellenistic kingdoms. Rome's victory in the Macedonian Wars and the Achaean War expanded its influence in the eastern Mediterranean. From the year 133 to 80 BCE, Rome faced internal strife marked by class tensions, the rise of powerful generals like Marius and Sulla, and the social war fought against Rome's Italian allies seeking citizenship, which spanned from the year 91 to 88 BCE. Sulla's dictatorship and the reforms of figures like Gaius Marius and Lucius Cornelius Sulla reshaped the Roman political landscape. Later on, the political machinations and military campaigns of Julius Caesar marked a turning point. His crossing of the Rubicon River in the year 49 BCE sparked a civil war against the Senate, leading to his appointment as dictator. Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE further destabilized Rome, ultimately culminating in the rise of Octavian, later known as Augustus, and the establishment of the Roman Empire in the year 27 BCE. Augustus became the first Roman emperor, marking the beginning of the Roman Empire. Over the next centuries, Rome continued to expand its territories, reaching its zenith under the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, which was a period of relative peace, stability, and prosperity that lasted from the year 27 BCE to the year 180 CE. The 2nd century AD, in particular, witnessed the apex of Roman influence and numerous key achievements across various aspects of Roman society. We will start with the reigns of the 5 good emperors: Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius, from the year 96 CE to 180 CE, which exemplify a period of effective and just rule. These emperors implemented administrative reforms that improved the functioning of the Roman government, emphasizing competent leadership and a sense of duty to the state. The Pax Romana facilitated a flourishing trade network that spanned the entire Mediterranean and beyond. Rome's vast empire allowed for the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures, contributing to economic prosperity. The construction of an extensive network of roads, bridges, and aqueducts during the 2nd century enhanced communication, trade, and transportation, stimulating economic growth. The 2nd century witnessed the flourishing of Latin literature, with prominent figures like the satirist Juvenal, the historian Tacitus, and the biographer Suetonius. This period is often regarded as a golden age of Roman literature. The grandeur of Roman architecture reached its zenith during the 2nd century. The Pantheon in Rome, built by Emperor Hadrian, stands as a remarkable example of Roman engineering and design. The Roman Empire, during the Pax Romana, maintained a formidable military presence along its frontiers. The construction of defensive fortifications, such as Hadrian's Wall in Britain and the Limes in Germania, helped secure the empire's borders. The Roman military, with well-disciplined legions, played a crucial role in maintaining peace within the empire. The stability provided by a powerful and disciplined army contributed to the overall success of the Pax Romana. The 2nd century saw progress in the field of medicine. The physician Galen, whose work influenced medical thought for centuries, lived during this period. His anatomical and medical studies contributed significantly to the understanding of human physiology. Roman engineers made notable contributions not only in constructing grand structures, but also in innovations such as the use of the arch, the dome, and concrete in architecture. The codification and organization of Roman law under Emperor Hadrian, known as the Codex Hermogenianus, helped streamline legal processes and ensure greater consistency in the application of laws. The extension of Roman citizenship to more inhabitants of the empire, including provincials, marked a step towards greater inclusivity and social cohesion. The 2nd century AD, within the framework of the Pax Romana, stands out as a period of remarkable achievements across multiple domains. The combination of political stability, economic prosperity, cultural flourishing, and military strength contributed to the apex of Roman influence, leaving a lasting legacy on the history of Western civilization. Now, to have a good understanding of how ancient Rome fell, we will take a look at Rome's economic structure. Rome's economic structure was complex and evolved over time, with agriculture and slave labor playing pivotal roles in shaping the Roman economy. Agriculture formed the backbone of the Roman economy, especially during the early Republic. The majority of Romans were engaged in farming, producing crops such as wheat, barley, olives, and grapes. Livestock farming, including the breeding of cattle, sheep, and pigs, was also prevalent. Over time, large-scale agricultural enterprises called latifundia became more common. These large estates, owned by wealthy elites, often relied on slave labor and were dedicated to the production of cash crops for trade. Estate agriculture was particularly dominant in regions like Sicily and North Africa. Slavery was deeply ingrained in Roman society and played a crucial role in the economy. Slaves were employed in various sectors with a significant concentration in agriculture, mining, and households. Large agricultural estates, especially latifundia, heavily depended on slave labor for cultivation. Slaves worked in the fields, tending to crops and performing various agricultural tasks. The use of slave labor allowed for the efficient exploitation of large tracts of land. Rome's strategic location in the Mediterranean facilitated extensive trade networks. The empire imported goods such as grain, timber, and luxury items from provinces like Egypt, North Africa, and the Eastern Mediterranean, while exporting wine, olive oil, and manufactured goods. Key ports, such as Ostia and Puteoli, played vital roles in facilitating trade. Ostia, located at the mouth of the Tiber River, served as the primary harbor for Rome, handling goods from overseas and distributing them throughout the city. In urban centers, small-scale manufacturing and craftsmanship were prevalent. Rome had skilled artisans producing a wide range of goods, including pottery, textiles, metalwork, and glassware. These goods were traded within the empire and beyond. Roman mining operations were also significant for the extraction of minerals such as gold, silver, copper, and iron. Slaves and free laborers worked in mines, contributing to the empire's wealth and economic strength. Rome implemented a land tax, known as the tributum soli, based on the productive capacity of the land. This tax played a crucial role in funding the Roman government and military. Trade also contributed to state revenues through customs duties on imported and exported goods. The empire's economic success was closely tied to its ability to generate revenue from taxation and trade. Rome and other major cities had vibrant markets where goods from various regions were bought and sold. The Forum Romanum in Rome, for example, served as a hub for commercial activities, hosting a variety of traders and merchants. The Roman monetary system, based on coins made of precious metals, facilitated economic transactions. The widespread use of Roman currency contributed to the efficiency of trade and commerce. As the Roman Empire declined, the economic structure underwent significant transformations. The collapse of central authority led to the fragmentation of larger states and a shift toward more localized, self-sufficient economies, marking the transition to feudalism in the medieval period. Rome's economic structure was characterized by a dynamic interplay of agriculture, slave labor, trade, and industry. The reliance on slave labor and large agricultural estates, coupled with a well-developed trade network, contributed to the economic strength of the Roman Empire. This intricate economic system played a crucial role in sustaining the empire's vast territories for centuries. So naturally, when this system started to decline, the empire also declined with it. Wealth distribution and economic disparities were also significant contributors to societal unrest in the Roman Empire, and these factors played a crucial role in the decline and eventual fall of the empire. The Roman Empire witnessed a growing concentration of wealth among the elite. A small percentage of the population, including senators, equestrians, and wealthy landowners, accumulated vast fortunes, while the majority struggled with economic hardship. The economic gap between the rich and poor widened, leading to a sense of alienation and resentment among the lower classes. This economic inequality was reflected in aspects such as access to education, legal representation, and political influence. The dominance of large agricultural estates, or latifundia, led to the displacement of small farmers. This concentration of land in the hands of a few exacerbated rural poverty and contributed to a decline in agricultural productivity. Dependence on large estates for food production left the empire vulnerable to disruptions in the agricultural sector. Periodic food shortages and famine further strained the relationship between the ruling class and the impoverished masses. Cities in the Roman Empire experienced an influx of rural migrants seeking economic opportunities. The concentration of people in urban centers, coupled with high unemployment rates and substandard living conditions, created a breeding ground for social discontent. Urban unemployment, especially among the lower classes, led to dependency on state-sponsored distributions of grain, the dole, and public entertainment. While these measures aimed at pacifying the population, they also highlighted economic disparities. The Roman Empire's need for revenue to fund its military campaigns and administrative machinery resulted in heavy taxation. The burden of these taxes fell disproportionately on the lower classes, exacerbating economic hardships and contributing to social unrest. The wealthy elite often found ways to evade taxes through legal loopholes or corrupt practices. This further fueled resentment among the less privileged, who perceived the tax system as unjust. The debasement of Roman currency, marked by the reduction in the precious metal content of coins, led to inflation. The resulting economic instability eroded the purchasing power of the common people, while the wealthy could better navigate financial uncertainties. Those on fixed incomes, such as pensioners and soldiers, suffered the most from currency devaluation. This contributed to dissatisfaction within key segments of society. Economic disparities extended to the military, where soldiers faced pay disparities based on rank and status. The loyalty of the military to the central authority became increasingly tenuous, leading to instances of mutiny and the rise of ambitious military commanders. Economic considerations often led to the recruitment of mercenaries, further undermining the traditional loyalty of Roman soldiers to the state. Mercenaries were motivated more by financial gain than a sense of duty to the empire. Economic disparities contributed to internal strife and external pressures, leading to the disruption of vital trade routes. This affected the economic interconnectedness of the empire and contributed to the overall decline in prosperity. Provinces, once flourishing economically, faced exploitation and decline as resources were extracted for the benefit of the Roman elite. This economic exploitation contributed to dissatisfaction among provincial populations. Widespread corruption in the Roman government further exacerbated economic inequalities. The wealthy could influence political decisions through bribes and patronage, undermining the integrity of state institutions. The patron-client system created obstacles for social mobility, reinforcing existing class divisions. The lack of upward mobility contributed to frustration and resentment among those without influential patrons. The opulent lifestyles of the wealthy elite, marked by excess and luxury, contrasted sharply with the hardships faced by the majority. This cultural and moral decay, coupled with perceived societal decadence, contributed to a sense of disillusionment and unrest. Economic disparities contributed to a fractured society marked by political factionalism and social unrest. Divisions between the rich and poor, the urban and rural populations, and various ethnic groups within the empire weakened social cohesion. The traditional Roman values of frugality, self-sufficiency, and civic virtue eroded in the face of growing economic disparities. This loss of shared values further contributed to the decline of social unity. The combination of economic inequalities, wealth concentration, and social discontent were other key factors in the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. These issues contributed to internal strife, weakened the fabric of Roman society, and created vulnerabilities that were exploited by external pressures later on. While various factors contributed to the fall of Rome, the socio-economic dynamics within the empire played a central role in shaping its eventual demise. Rome's military prowess during its prime, often referred to as the Roman Republic and the early Roman Empire, played a pivotal role in shaping the course of Western history. The Romans established themselves as one of the most formidable military powers of the ancient world through a combination of strategic innovation, disciplined legions, and organizational excellence. At the heart of Rome's military success were the highly disciplined and well-trained Roman legions. The Roman legion, a flexible and adaptable military unit, consisted of heavily armed infantry soldiers known as legionaries. Each legion typically comprised around 4,800 to 6,000 soldiers, organized into smaller units called cohorts. The standardization of equipment, training, and tactics within the legions contributed to their effectiveness on the battlefield. Rome's military success was also attributed to its sophisticated organizational structure. Legions were organized into larger formations called armies, and these armies were commanded by experienced generals. The Roman Senate and later emperors were responsible for appointing capable leaders, such as Scipio Africanus, Julius Caesar, and Gaius Marius, who played crucial roles in Rome's military achievements. The Romans were adept at adapting their military strategies to suit different terrains and opponents. The manipular system, developed during the Roman Republic, allowed legions to be highly flexible on the battlefield. This system provided commanders with the ability to respond to changing circumstances and employ a variety of tactics, including the famous Roman triple-axis formation, or maniples. Roman military engineers were renowned for their expertise in siege warfare and construction of fortifications. The Roman army utilized siege engines, such as ballistae and catapults, to breach enemy walls. The construction of fortifications, including the famous Roman camps, allowed Roman armies to maintain a secure base of operations during campaigns and sieges. Rome's military success was not solely dependent on the prowess of its soldiers, but also on the efficiency of its logistical and infrastructure systems. The construction of an extensive network of roads facilitated the rapid movement of troops and supplies throughout the empire. This logistical advantage allowed the Romans to maintain large, standing armies and respond quickly to threats. The Roman military placed a strong emphasis on discipline and training. Soldiers underwent rigorous training, and strict discipline was enforced within the ranks. This discipline was a key factor in the Roman ability to maintain order on the battlefield and execute complex maneuvers. While often overshadowed by the achievements of the Roman legions, the Roman navy played a vital role in securing Rome's maritime interests and controlling the Mediterranean. The Battle of Actium, in the year 31 BCE, where Octavian, whom later became Emperor Augustus, defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra, showcased the importance of Roman naval power. The Romans were adept at learning from their enemies and incorporating effective elements from other military traditions. For example, after facing the disciplined phalanx formations of the Greeks, the Romans adapted their tactics and equipment to counter such forces successfully. Rome's military prowess reached its zenith during the height of the Roman Republic and the early Roman Empire. The combination of a well-organized and disciplined army, innovative tactics, and strategic adaptability allowed Rome to conquer and maintain one of the largest empires in antiquity. The legacy of Roman military principles and strategies continued to influence military thought for centuries after the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Now, even with their impressive military prowess, the Roman Empire faced numerous external threats throughout its existence, which were considerable contributors to its eventual decline. Germanic tribes, such as the Visigoths, Vandals, and Ostrogoths, posed a significant threat through invasions and migrations across the Roman borders. The Visigoths, for example, famously sacked Rome in the year 410 AD. The Roman Empire had long established borders along the Rhine and Danube rivers, but the pressure from Germanic tribes seeking better land and opportunities often led to conflicts. The Battle of Adrianople in the year 378 AD was a significant defeat for Rome against the Visigoths. The Huns, a nomadic people originating from Central Asia, emerged as a formidable threat to the Roman Empire during the 4th and 5th centuries. Under leaders like Attila, the Huns conducted raids and invasions that disrupted the stability of Roman territories. Attila's invasion of Gaul was halted by a coalition of Roman and Visigothic forces at the Battle of the Catalonian Plains. Although the Romans, led by General Aetius, were successful in repelling the Huns, this event showcased the vulnerability of the empire to external threats. Over time, the Roman military transitioned from a citizen army to one increasingly reliant on mercenaries and foreign recruits. While this provided short-term manpower, it led to a decline in the discipline and loyalty of the military. Mercenaries were often motivated solely by financial gain, and their allegiance could shift based on pay and loyalties. The internal strife within the Roman Empire, marked by frequent changes in leadership and civil wars, contributed to a breakdown in military discipline and loyalty. Soldiers were often caught up in the power struggles between different factions, leading to a lack of unity within the Roman military. Constant wars and external threats strained the economic resources of the Roman Empire. Maintaining a vast empire required significant financial investment, and the constant need for military campaigns diverted resources away from other essential areas, such as infrastructure and administration. The Roman Empire traditionally relied on conquering new territories to acquire wealth and slaves, which became unsustainable as the empire reached its territorial limits. The economic strain contributed to an inability to adequately defend against external threats. The external threats faced by the ancient Roman Empire, including Germanic tribes, Huns, and the decline in military discipline and loyalty, collectively played a crucial role in the gradual decline and eventual fall of one of the greatest empires in history. These challenges exposed vulnerabilities in the Roman military, governance, and economic systems, contributing to the complex factors leading to the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. Political instability had a profound impact on the effectiveness of Roman legions throughout the history of the Roman Empire. The Roman political landscape was marked by frequent power struggles, civil wars, and changes in leadership, which in turn affected the stability and efficiency of the military. The ways in which political instability influenced the effectiveness of Roman legions are many. Political instability often resulted in the frequent changes of emperors and military commanders. The rapid turnover of leadership led to a lack of continuity and stability in military command. Some emperors ascended to power with little or no military experience. This lack of military expertise could lead to poor strategic decisions, insufficient understanding of the army's needs, and difficulty in maintaining the discipline and morale of the legions. Civil wars diverted resources away from the regular functioning of the state, including the military. Legions were often engaged in internal conflicts, reducing their effectiveness in defending the borders or responding to external threats. Civil wars often led to internal divisions within the legions. Soldiers might be forced to choose sides based on loyalty to a particular leader, faction, or region, leading to a breakdown in unit cohesion. The loyalty of the legions was often directed more toward their commanders than to the central authority of the Roman state. This personal loyalty could be exploited by ambitious generals or pretenders to the throne, leading to rebellions or military uprisings. Political instability allowed cunning political figures to manipulate the loyalty of the legions for personal gain. Instances of legions declaring their commanders as emperors or participating in coups were not uncommon during politically tumultuous periods. In times of political instability, emperors and political leaders might prioritize short-term political survival over long-term military preparedness. This could result in the neglect of military infrastructure, including fortifications, equipment maintenance, and training programs, ultimately compromising the legion's effectiveness. Political instability often contributed to economic instability. Frequent changes in leadership and civil conflicts strained the Roman economy, impacting the financial resources available for the military. Insufficient funds could lead to shortages in supplies, equipment, and payment for soldiers, affecting their morale and effectiveness. Political instability could result in inconsistent foreign policy, with one leader pursuing a certain strategy and the next adopting a different approach. This lack of consistency could confuse the legions and create vulnerabilities in border defense. Ultimately, political instability had far-reaching consequences on the effectiveness of Roman legions. The constant changes in leadership, civil wars, and the resulting impact on military loyalty, infrastructure, and resources weakened the legions, making them less capable of effectively defending the vast territories of the Roman Empire. The interplay between political and military factors played a crucial role in the decline of Roman military power and the eventual fall of the Western Roman Empire. The political landscape of the Roman Empire was characterized by a complex interplay of power dynamics, succession struggles, assassinations, and civil wars throughout its long history. The early Roman Empire saw the transition from the Principate, which lasted from the year 27 BCE to the year 284 CE, to the Dominate, which started in the late 3rd century and ended in the year 476 CE. In the Principate, emperors were often chosen by adoption or appointment, while in the Dominate, hereditary succession and military power became more significant factors. Some emperors were adopted as heirs by their predecessors. For example, Augustus adopted Tiberius, ensuring a smooth transition of power. However, this practice was not always successful, as seen in the case of the 5 good emperors. The Severan dynasty, which spanned from the year 193 CE to the year 235 CE, witnessed the beginning of hereditary succession, where emperors aimed to pass power within their family. This approach often led to weaker rulers and internal strife. The role of the military in proclaiming emperors became more pronounced, especially during times of crisis. Successful generals often declared themselves emperors, leading to a series of short-lived rulers. Following the assassination of Emperor Pertinax, the empire experienced a brief period of chaos with 5 emperors in quick succession, highlighting the vulnerability of the imperial succession system. Assassinations were a somewhat common occurrence in ancient Rome. Caligula's tyrannical rule led to his assassination by members of the Praetorian Guard. This event showcased the potential for the military to influence and control imperial power. Domitian faced opposition from the Senate, and his autocratic rule eventually resulted in his assassination. The Senate played a crucial role in conspiring against emperors perceived as tyrannical. Commodus's erratic behavior and tyrannical rule led to a plot to assassinate him, orchestrated by members of his inner circle and the Senate. The assassination of Severus Alexander marked the end of the Severan dynasty and triggered the crisis of the 3rd century. Military commanders became increasingly involved in imperial politics. In the year 69 CE, following Nero's suicide, a power struggle ensued among Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian, resulting in Vespasian ultimately becoming emperor. This period highlighted the vulnerability of the imperial succession and the role of military support. From the years 235 CE to 284 CE, there was a period marked by frequent civil wars, usurpations, and external threats. The assassination of Emperor Severus Alexander led to a prolonged crisis with multiple claimants vying for power, better known as the crisis of the 3rd century. To address the instability in the late 3rd century, Diocletian implemented a system where the empire was ruled by 4 emperors. While this stabilized the situation temporarily, internal conflicts persisted. The civil wars of the Tetrarchy culminated in the rise of Constantine, who eventually became the sole emperor after defeating rivals like Maxentius and Licinius. Constantine's victory at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge in the year 312 CE played a crucial role in the Christianization of the Roman Empire. In summary, the political landscape of the Roman Empire was marked by a continuous struggle for power, with the succession of emperors often influenced by adoption, hereditary factors, military support, and the occasional involvement of the Senate. The prevalence of assassinations and civil wars underscored the inherent instability of the imperial system, contributing greatly to the eventual decline of the Western Roman Empire. The diminishing influence of the Roman Senate and its role in internal divisions played a significant part in the decline of the Roman Republic and the subsequent transition to the Roman Empire. Several factors contributed to the weakening of the Senate's power, leading to internal divisions and political instability. During the late Roman Republic, military commanders such as Marius and Sulla began to exert considerable influence over Roman politics. Their legions became more loyal to their generals than to the Senate, shifting the balance of power away from the traditional senatorial authority. As Roman generals started recruiting soldiers directly, rather than relying on citizen soldiers, the legions became more loyal to their commanders. The Senate's inability to control these professionalized armies weakened its influence over military matters. Ambitious politicians such as Julius Caesar, and later leaders like the Gracchi brothers, recognized the power of appealing directly to the Roman people. By championing popular causes and advocating for reforms, they weakened the Senate's authority and gained support from the urban and rural masses. The office of the tribune of the plebs, traditionally seen as a check on senatorial power, became a tool for populist leaders to challenge and bypass the Senate. Tribunes could propose laws and veto senatorial decisions, contributing to internal divisions. The Roman Senate became increasingly corrupt, with senators engaging in bribery, extortion, and other forms of unethical behavior. The perception of a self-serving and disconnected Senate eroded public trust and contributed to internal divisions. Certain wealthy and influential families, like the Optimates, dominated the Senate. The concentration of power within these families led to resentment among the broader populace, contributing to social and political tensions. After the civil war between Marius and Sulla, Sulla became dictator and conducted proscriptions, purging political opponents. This marked a clear assertion of military power over senatorial authority and contributed to internal divisions. Julius Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon and subsequent civil war against Pompey highlighted the Senate's inability to resolve conflicts peacefully. Caesar's victory ultimately led to the concentration of power in the hands of a single individual rather than the Senate. The establishment of the Principate under Augustus marked the formal shift from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire. While the Senate retained a semblance of influence, real power rested with the emperor. Augustus skillfully maintained the appearance of a functioning Senate while consolidating power in his hands. Emperors often held positions in the Senate, blurring the lines between the senatorial class and the imperial office. The Senate became more symbolic, with emperors making crucial decisions without the need for senatorial approval. Basically, the diminishing influence of the Roman Senate played a central role in internal divisions and the transformation of the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. Factors such as military influence, the rise of populism, political corruption, civil wars, and the establishment of the Principate all contributed to the erosion of senatorial authority. While the Senate persisted as an institution, its power became increasingly symbolic, and real political control shifted to the emperors and the military, which made it easier for Rome to experience instability and division when there were internal military conflicts, or when an emperor was assassinated. Two things, which, as we have seen, were not rare in the Roman Empire, ultimately turning into contributing factors to its fall. Another key factor that played a significant role in the eventual decline and fall of the Roman Empire were the cultural changes, particularly the shift from traditional virtues to decadence. The Roman Empire, at its zenith, was characterized by a set of values and virtues that emphasized discipline, duty, and civic responsibility. However, over time, a series of cultural transformations occurred, leading to the erosion of these traditional virtues and the rise of decadent tendencies. In the early years of the Roman Republican Empire, virtues like duty and discipline were highly esteemed. Roman citizens were expected to prioritize the well-being of the state over personal desires, and military discipline was crucial for the expansion and maintenance of the empire. The concept of civic virtue emphasized the importance of individuals contributing to the public good. Citizens were expected to actively participate in civic life, whether through military service, political engagement, or public service. As the empire expanded, wealth poured into Rome from its vast territories. This influx of riches led to an increase in luxury and opulence, with the elite class seeking extravagant lifestyles and indulging in excesses. With the growth of wealth and luxury, the dedication to military discipline waned. The recruitment of mercenaries and the reliance on a professional army, disconnected from the traditional values of the Roman citizen soldier, contributed to a decline in the military ethos. The political landscape became increasingly corrupt, with bribery, nepotism, and a focus on personal gain becoming prevalent. This undermined the sense of civic duty, and the idea that public service should take precedence over private interests. The embrace of decadent lifestyles by the ruling elite led to a loss of moral fiber within Roman society. Traditional virtues were overshadowed by a pursuit of hedonistic pleasures and self-indulgence. The growing economic disparity between the rich and the poor, coupled with a decline in social cohesion, contributed to the disintegration of the social fabric. This weakened the sense of shared identity and common purpose that had been crucial for the empire's stability. The erosion of military discipline and the focus on personal gain over the well-being of the state left the Roman Empire vulnerable to external threats. The once mighty Roman legions became less effective in defending the borders. The political and social decay fueled internal strife and power struggles. Civil wars and usurpations became more frequent, further weakening the central authority and making the empire susceptible to external invasions. The decline in the traditional virtues stifled innovation and adaptability. The Roman Empire struggled to address new challenges effectively, both internally and externally, as the cultural values that had once fostered resilience and strength eroded. Ultimately, the shift from traditional virtues to decadence in the Roman Empire had profound implications for its stability and longevity. The erosion of discipline, civic responsibility, and moral values weakened the social and political foundations, contributing significantly to the eventual fall of one of the greatest civilizations in history. The erosion of civic pride in particular played a significant role in the decline of the Roman Empire and had far-reaching consequences for its social fabric. Civic pride refers to the sense of attachment, loyalty, and responsibility that individuals feel toward their community, city, or state. In the case of the Roman Empire, civic pride was a crucial component of the social cohesion that held the vast and diverse territories together. Several factors contributed to the erosion of civic pride, leading to detrimental effects on the Roman social fabric. As the Roman Empire expanded, encompassing diverse cultures and regions, the sense of a unified Roman identity began to weaken. Citizens identified more with their local communities and ethnic backgrounds than with the overarching Roman identity. The vastness of the empire made it challenging for people to feel a personal connection to the distant central authority in Rome. This geographical and cultural distance contributed to a decline in the sense of shared identity. Corruption within the Roman government and bureaucracy eroded trust in the state institutions. When citizens perceived that their leaders were more interested in personal gain than the welfare of the empire, it undermined the sense of civic duty and pride. Inefficiency and bureaucratic red tape also frustrated citizens, making them less likely to actively participate in civic life. The economic decline of the empire, marked by rampant inflation, taxation, and economic inequality, further weakened the social fabric. Citizens who struggled economically were less likely to feel a sense of pride in their society and more likely to harbor resentment towards the ruling elite. Constant external threats and military challenges contributed to a sense of insecurity among the population. The need for a strong military presence often led to heavy taxation, which strained the economy and fostered discontent among citizens. The classical Roman concept of civic virtue, emphasizing selfless service to the state and the common good, began to wane. As individuals became more focused on personal pursuits and hedonistic lifestyles, the traditional values that underpinned civic pride were undermined. The increasing divide between the wealthy elite and the impoverished masses contributed to a sense of social injustice. This class disparity eroded the idea of a shared destiny and common welfare, fracturing the social fabric. Frequent changes in leadership, power struggles, and civil wars created an atmosphere of political instability. This uncertainty further eroded the confidence of citizens in the political system, making them less likely to invest emotionally in the well-being of the empire. The erosion of civic pride ultimately weakened the social bonds that held the Roman Empire together. As people became less invested in the success and stability of the state, it became increasingly difficult for the empire to address its internal challenges and external threats. The decline of civic pride is considered one of the contributing factors to the eventual fall of the Roman Empire. Emperor Diocletian's decision to divide the Roman Empire into eastern and western halves in the early 4th century CE was a pivotal moment in Roman history. This administrative reorganization, known as the Tetrarchy, sought to address the challenges posed by the vastness of the empire, internal instability, and external threats. Diocletian implemented a series of reforms, and the division was a central aspect of his efforts to secure the empire's future. Up ahead, we will go into a detailed exploration of the factors and reasons behind this decision. The period leading up to Diocletian's reign, known as the crisis of the 3rd century, was marked by political chaos, economic decline, military instability, and frequent changes in leadership. The empire faced internal strife, external invasions, and economic collapse. The Roman Empire had become too vast to be effectively governed by a single central authority. The administrative challenges of coordinating and managing such a large territory were becoming increasingly apparent. In 293 CE, Diocletian established the Tetrarchy, a system of government in which the empire was ruled by 4 emperors, 2 Augusti, senior emperors, and 2 Caesars, junior emperors. This division aimed to distribute the administrative burden and provide a more efficient governance structure. Diocletian appointed Maximian as the co-emperor, Augustus, of the Western Roman Empire, while he himself ruled the Eastern Roman Empire. Both emperors in turn appointed a junior emperor, Caesar, to assist them. This division allowed for a more focused and localized administration. Diocletian's primary concern was the defense of the empire. By dividing the territories, he aimed to strengthen the defense against external threats by having emperors strategically located to respond to different frontiers. Diocletian implemented economic reforms to address the rampant inflation and economic instability. His famous Edict on Maximum Prices aimed to control inflation by setting price ceilings on various goods and services. The division of the empire allowed for more localized economic management. The division allowed the emperors to focus on specific regions, making it easier to address localized issues and maintain stability on the frontiers. This was crucial in defending against external threats from Germanic tribes, Persians, and other adversaries. Diocletian's division of the empire into East and West aimed at improving administrative efficiency. Each ruler could focus on the governance of their designated region, reducing the burden on a single emperor and enabling quicker responses to local challenges. The Tetrarchy also introduced a formalized system of imperial succession. The idea was that when an Augustus retired or died, the corresponding Caesar would become the new Augustus, and a new Caesar would be appointed. This system aimed to avoid the chaos and violence often associated with contested successions. Diocletian's successor, Constantine the Great, eventually reunited the empire under his rule. However, recognizing the strategic importance of the East, Constantine established the new capital, Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, in 330 CE. This decision further solidified the division between the Eastern and Western Roman empires. In summary, Diocletian's decision to divide the Roman Empire into Eastern and Western halves through the establishment of the Tetrarchy was driven by a combination of administrative, military, and economic considerations. The reforms aimed to address the challenges of governing a vast and troubled empire, laying the groundwork for subsequent developments in Roman history. The relative stability of the Eastern Roman Empire, often referred to as the Byzantine Empire, in contrast to the challenges faced by the Western Roman Empire, can be attributed to various factors. While both halves of the Roman Empire shared a common history, the East demonstrated more resilience and longevity. Here is an examination of the key reasons behind the differing fortunes of the two halves. The Eastern Roman Empire had the advantage of a more defensible geographic location. Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, was strategically positioned on the crossroads of Europe and Asia, surrounded by natural barriers such as the Bosporus Strait. This made it easier to defend against external invasions. The Western Roman Empire faced constant threats along its extensive borders, including invasions by Germanic tribes, Huns, and later, the Vandals and Visigoths. The vastness of the Western territories made it challenging to effectively defend against these incursions. The Eastern Roman Empire was economically more prosperous than the West. Constantinople's location facilitated trade between the East and West, contributing to a thriving economy. The Byzantine Empire continued to be a center of commerce and culture, providing a more stable economic foundation. Economic decline was a significant challenge for the Western Roman Empire. High taxation, inflation, and constant military expenditures strained the economy. Additionally, the loss of key provinces reduced the empire's revenue and weakened its ability to sustain itself financially. The Eastern Roman Empire retained a more stable administrative structure. The Byzantine bureaucracy, based on the Roman model, remained intact and functioned efficiently. The system of governance allowed for continuity and adaptability to changing circumstances. The Western Roman Empire experienced frequent changes in leadership, internal strife, and usurpations. The administrative machinery became increasingly fragmented and less effective. Weak central authority and frequent shifts in power hindered the ability to address internal and external challenges. The Byzantine Empire maintained a robust and professional military. The Byzantine army, often adapting to new threats and tactics, played a crucial role in defending the empire against external enemies. Skilled military commanders, such as Belisarius and Narses, contributed to the empire's military strength. The Western Roman Empire faced difficulties maintaining a well-disciplined and adequately funded military. Constant invasions and internal conflicts strained the Roman legions, leading to a decline in military effectiveness. The use of mercenary forces and the reliance on foederati barbarian allies further complicated the situation. The Byzantine Empire retained a strong connection to Roman traditions and culture. The Eastern Roman rulers considered themselves heirs to the Roman legacy, and classical learning and literature persisted. The Byzantines preserved and transmitted much of the knowledge of the ancient world. The Western Roman Empire experienced a more abrupt and dramatic break with its Roman past. The collapse of the Western Empire in 476 CE marked the end of classical antiquity in the West. The subsequent period, known as the Dark Ages, saw a decline in urbanization, education, and centralized governance. The Byzantine Empire demonstrated a remarkable ability to adapt to changing circumstances. Emperors like Justinian sought to revive the glory of Rome through reconquests, legal reforms, and architectural achievements. The Byzantines also navigated through religious controversies, such as the iconoclastic debates, without experiencing the same level of upheaval seen in the West. The Western Roman Empire struggled to adapt to the evolving geopolitical landscape. Internal divisions coupled with external pressures made it difficult to implement effective reforms. The Western Empire lacked the resilience and adaptability that characterized the Byzantine state. While the Byzantine Empire faced external threats, including Arab invasions and conflicts with the Sasanian Empire, it managed to withstand and repel many of these challenges. The strong fortifications of Constantinople played a crucial role in the defense against sieges. The Western Roman Empire, especially during its later years, faced devastating invasions by various barbarian groups. The sack of Rome by the Visigoths in 410 CE and later by the Vandals in 455 CE, as well as the deposition of the last Roman emperor in 476 CE, marked significant blows to the Western Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantine Empire, exhibited greater stability compared to its Western counterpart due to a combination of geographical advantages, economic prosperity, administrative continuity, military strength, adaptability to change, and a preservation of Roman cultural traditions. While both halves faced external pressures and internal challenges, the Eastern Roman Empire's ability to endure for nearly a millennium after the fall of the Western Roman Empire reflects its resilience and adaptability. The sack of Rome in 410 AD by the Visigoths, led by their king Alaric, is a key aspect of the fall of the Western Roman Empire, as it marked a significant event in its decline. Because this invasion took place during a period of political instability and economic decline, it contributed greatly to the weakening of the once mighty Roman capital. Alaric, a Visigothic chieftain, had been a formidable thorn in the side of the Roman Empire for years. He had initially served in the Roman military, but grew disillusioned with the mistreatment and marginalization of his people by the Roman authorities. After a series of military campaigns, Alaric sought to negotiate with the Roman Emperor Honorius for land and autonomy for the Visigoths within the empire. When these negotiations broke down, he turned to more aggressive measures. In the year 410 AD, Alaric and his Visigothic forces laid siege to the city of Rome. The Roman defenses were weakened due to the shifting alliances and political instability within the empire, and the city was ill-prepared for such an assault. After a brief but intense siege, the Visigoths managed to breach the walls of Rome in August 410 AD. The sack of Rome that ensued was characterized by widespread looting, destruction, and violence. The Visigoths, fueled by a mix of resentment, economic desperation, and a desire for retribution, plundered the city for 3 days. Treasures, artworks, and other valuables were seized. and many Roman citizens were either killed, enslaved, or subjected to various forms of brutality. The sack of Rome in 410 AD was a symbolic blow to the prestige of the once mighty Roman Empire. The city, which had not been captured by a foreign enemy for nearly 800 years, saw its defenses breached by a non-Roman force. The event had a profound psychological impact on the people of the empire, signaling the vulnerability of even its most celebrated cities. The sack of Rome also had significant repercussions in the political and cultural spheres. The shockwaves of this event reverberated throughout the Mediterranean world, with many historians considering it a key moment in the broader decline of the Western Roman Empire. The political and social consequences of the sack of Rome contributed to the eventual fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD. The event is often cited as a turning point in the history of the ancient world, foreshadowing the end of classical antiquity and the beginning of the medieval era in Europe. The fall of Rome in 476 AD, while not exactly an abrupt event, but rather a culmination of a long period of decline, holds immense symbolic significance in Western history. Odoacer's ascension to power and his declaration as ruler marked a significant turning point in the history of the Western Roman Empire, symbolizing its official end. Odoacer, a Germanic chieftain and military leader, rose to prominence in the late 5th century AD amidst the chaos and decline that characterized the final years of the Western Roman Empire. His role in the events leading to the fall of the Western Roman Empire and his subsequent declaration as ruler are subjects of historical debate, with interpretations varying based on available sources and perspectives. One key aspect of Odoacer's rise to power was his military prowess. As a skilled warrior and commander, he played a crucial role in various conflicts and power struggles within the Roman Empire. His forces were instrumental in the deposition of the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, in 476 AD. Following this event, Odoacer effectively assumed control over Italy and became its de facto ruler. The declaration of Odoacer as ruler and the official end of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD represent the culmination of the long-standing political, social, and economic pressures that had been building within the empire for centuries. The central authority of the Roman state had weakened significantly, and various barbarian tribes had established their dominance over different regions of the empire. Odoacer's ascension to power and his subsequent declaration as ruler symbolized the final collapse of Roman imperial authority in the West. His actions effectively brought an end to centuries of Roman rule in Italy and marked the beginning of a new era dominated by Germanic kingdoms and other successor states. It is important to note that Odoacer's declaration as the ruler did not represent a clean break with the past. While he effectively ended the Western Roman Empire, Odoacer himself acknowledged the authority of the Eastern Roman Emperor Zeno and ruled Italy as a viceroy or client king under the Eastern Roman Empire. This arrangement highlights the complex political dynamics of the time and the continuity of certain Roman institutions even after the official end of the Western Roman Empire. Ultimately, Odoacer's role in declaring himself ruler and the official end of the Western Roman Empire was a pivotal moment in the history of the ancient world. His ascension to power marked the final chapter in the decline and fall of the Western Roman Empire and paved the way for the emergence of new political entities in Europe. Odoacer's actions reflect the tumultuous and transformative nature of the late antique period, setting the stage for the medieval era that would follow. This event marks the end of antiquity and the beginning of the Middle Ages, signifying the transition from the classical world to the medieval era. The symbolic impact of Rome's fall can be explored across several dimensions. Rome had been the epitome of power, civilization, and culture in the ancient world. Its fall symbolizes the end of a glorious epoch of antiquity characterized by grandeur, order, and the rule of law. The collapse of the Western Roman Empire shattered the continuity of classical civilization, ushering in an era of fragmentation, decentralization, and uncertainty. Rome's fall shattered the perception of invincibility and eternal dominance that had surrounded the empire for centuries. The once mighty empire, which had conquered vast territories and endured for over a millennium, now lay in ruins. This loss of prestige and authority had profound implications for the Western world, as it left a power vacuum that would be filled by emerging kingdoms and successor states. This, in turn, led to the disintegration of centralized authority and the emergence of feudalism. With the collapse of imperial administration and infrastructure, local elites and warlords assumed control over smaller territories, leading to a decentralized system of governance. This shift in political and social structures laid the groundwork for the feudal system that would characterize much of medieval Europe. Rome's fall also had significant implications for the spread and development of Christianity. The Christianization of the Roman Empire had been a defining feature of late antiquity, and Rome had served as the center of the Catholic Church. With the empire's collapse, the Church emerged as a stabilizing force in the midst of chaos, preserving elements of Roman culture and providing a sense of continuity amidst the turmoil. Ultimately, the empire's fall also led to a decline in literacy, education, and intellectual pursuits across much of Western Europe. The disintegration of Roman institutions and infrastructure disrupted the transmission of knowledge and cultural heritage, leading to a period often characterized as the Dark Ages. It would take centuries for Europe to recover and experience a revival in learning and scholarship during the Renaissance. Despite the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, the legacy of Rome continued to exert a profound influence on Western civilization. Roman law, language, architecture, and political institutions endured and were preserved by successor states and institutions such as the Byzantine Empire and the Catholic Church. The enduring legacy of Rome serves as a reminder of the resilience and enduring impact of ancient civilizations on the course of history long after their end. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the science of decline, an eternal reminder that no matter how great an empire or civilization might be, if there is no unity inside it, it will always be subject to falling from glory to ruin.